Good afternoon, Houston. Welcome back to Dabang Power Hour. This is your co-host, Adrienne Norman, and I'm so happy to have you here this afternoon. Afshin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How was your weekend?
It has been great.
Lots of things going on.
It is a busy time of year, absolutely. I am excited to get this show started. Have you been up to anything exciting lately?
Nothing much. Just pinning in the whole month. So many events happening. Just penciling in every date in my calendar for October. It's going to be a very busy month, especially with this election, pre-election registration going on. So.
Yeah, we are a little more out than a month out from the election. Mm-hmm. And joining us in studio today to talk about the election and many other things, we've got a whole list of things to cover today, is Dr. Bobby Eberle, the Republican chairman from Fort Bend County.
That's right.
Thank you so much for joining us
today. It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us today, Bobby.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here, and congratulations on the show.
Thank you.
This is really good. I'm glad to be a part of it.
We're excited.
Yeah.
It's been a fantastic experience so far. We've gotten really great feedback. So, welcome. So let's spread the word and get some things, get some education out. I guess let's first start, Bobby. Tell us a little bit about you and who you are.
Oh, well, Let me be brief, because my journey to politics has kind of been a crazy one. I started out like high school, college, not paying attention to politics at all. I was a tennis player, and my only goal was either to do that or to become an astronaut. So that's so I went and studied engineering at Texas A&M, and I got a PhD from Rice, and worked in the space program for 12 years. But when I was working on my PhD, that's when I realized that politics was my calling. And so I continued to work at NASA, but I started an online news company called GOP USA, like around year 2000. And it just kept growing and growing and growing. And by 2007, I could do it full time. And so I stopped working there and just dove into the media side of it. I do a lot of commentary, like on One America News, Newsmax, go up to New York and am in studio there. And then I've got a show on YouTube with 100,000 followers. And so that's what I really enjoy as far as educating people on the issues and giving my opinions. And then I helped a candidate for Congress in 2020, running in Congressional District 22, which is predominantly Fort Bend County, and was the communications director and campaign manager, and then got more involved in the local scene and ran for county chairman in 22, and then was reelected in 24. So it's been very, very exciting. I mean, my job here is basically to raise money for the party, raise awareness of what we stand for, and then to get our candidates elected. And it's been quite a journey so far, because in 2018 and 2020, Republicans were wiped out in Fort Bend County. We didn't win a single race countywide. And then in 22, we were able to come in and we split with the Democrats. We won 6 countywide races. They won 7. We won all the Court of Appeals races, which were wiped out in the previous 2 cycles. So that's like a 10-6 record. And now we're here. And so, now it's, everything's on the line. It's very tense. And
the race is extreme.
Yeah, it is. And it just shows, U.S. News and World Report named Fort Bend County one of its top battleground counties in the entire country. Absolutely. So even though it's not going to really play a role Texas-wide as far as Trump getting reelected or something like that, because it's so diverse, it really sends a signal across the country on how Republicans can do in a county such as this, or counties across the country. And what we showed in the last election is we were right there. Like I said, we won 6, they won 7, but we were 1,500 votes away from that being 11-2. Wow. So it's that close. Out of 250,000 votes, some came down to just a couple hundred. Wow, and I anticipate it's going to be close like that again. So we're really working hard.
Well, I think that's a great, those numbers just demonstrate right there the importance of making sure that, one, you're registered to vote, and two, that when it comes time to it, you get out there and you vote.
Absolutely.
And not just for those top ballot races, right? So talk to us about what is the Republican Party doing to, I guess, one, engage voters right now, registration efforts, things like that.
Well, sure. And you hit on a key point, and that is, I guess it's maybe about 6 years ago now.
I would like to interrupt. I've got one caller coming for you, sir.
Oh,
hold on.
A caller. Exciting.
Radio Dabang Power Hour. I think it's gone. I think they're gone. They're gone. They're gone.
Oh, okay.
We'll wait for them to call back. Sorry about that.
There's a little bit of a learning curve.
No,
here. We're figuring it out.
It's all good. It's fun, right? I mean, radio and TV. It's a really cool experience. But what I was saying is that they did away with the straight ticket voting.
Right.
And so that makes a job, at the county level, these county races, and we're talking about things like the tax assessor, collector, sheriff. There we go.
Put them online. Radio Dabang Power Hour. How can I help? Hello? Hello, caller? Hello?
Yes.
Hi, caller.
This is Cynthia Ginyard calling in.
Hey, Cynthia. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine, and you?
Thank you for calling in.
What can we do for you this afternoon, Miss Ginyard? Thank you for reaching out to us and joining us on our new show.
Okay. Q a mom alerted me to call in for this time period, and so I didn't know what you all wanted. Said something about women, so.
So you're on air.
Yes,
You're
we
on air.
are. We would love to get some information out to our listeners about, especially our women listeners, on why it's important for them to get involved in the community and participate in not only just the election, but
The involvement.
involved in the community in general. So, what would be some advice that you would give to our women listeners on how they could do that?
It's critical. It's no different in male involvement versus female involvement. We're all a part of this community. And things only happen when we get involved and make those changes. Someone said, well, I want to do what Stacey Abrams is doing, what she was doing. I said, you have to be your own Stacey Abrams. Get engaged in whatever your interest may be. It may not be voting or elections or things like that, but voting is not a right that was granted upon us upon birth. It was fought for, died for, maimed for. So it is critical that everyone votes in every election, whatever your choice may be. So you can connect with your local political parties, Democratic Party, your Republican Party.
And we've got Chairman Eberle in our studio today talking with us.
Okay,
Would you have any questions for him?
No,
You
I
may
don't.
ask.
I haven't seen him in a while. Hello there.
Hey, Cynthia, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well. I am doing well. It's good to hear from you.
Yeah, same here. Thanks for calling.
Sure. And, well, that says it all right here. I'm Chairwoman Emerita of Fort Bend County Democratic Party. I did not run in the 24 year, but I served as chair from 2016 to 2024. So you have two connects right here.
And that is exactly what we want.
Engaged
Yes, Cynthia, that is exactly what we want this show to be about, is a nonpartisan way to connect people. That's a great word that you used, was to connect people.
Sure.
And I think you also made a great point too in your earlier comments when you mentioned there's ways to get involved other than voting too, something that you're passionate about. There's all sorts of organizations and things that you can do in the community besides political action.
Yes, there are many, and there are so many branches.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that actually extend from that root, because a lot of times people have certain issues that they care about, such as social justice. Now, does that come under the political realm? Yes, it does. It's actually voting, not necessarily, but still, those kinds of groups are out there. And for many of the current issues that are going on in our nation and in the world. So I think there's something for everyone. It could be child safety. It could be just a number of things that anyone would have some interest in. And it cannot happen without you. Whatever it is, it cannot happen without you. So you must do your part to give in any way that you can to help make that happen.
Absolutely. That's
Cynthia, while we
absolutely right.
have you on air, I've seen you serve, and you've done a great job, and you have a lot of resources in ways where everyone can come out and engage in these services. Can you, by chance, maybe provide one to our listeners, and maybe one source where they can go out and get engaged in the community?
For
Any advice?
For any particular reason?
For any particular reason. There's so many things to do out there, right? Just not voting, not just politics, but any other involvements in, say, MUD or, any other community involvements that you know of that, we can pull our community out, and they have a source, just to provide one source that, hey, this is something you can get involved in, or you should.
What I think would be more helpful, because that's such a broad area, okay? Then I would be happy to talk with anyone who would call or email me, so that we can figure out what are your interests, because there's just a multitude of things, formally and informally. They may be interested in the libraries.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right.
That.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So if they would like to reach out, you have my number, and of course I can give it so you can jot it down. 832-444-4073. I answer unknown calls.
That's brave.
That's brave.
That's my life. I'm pretty public, and then I can funnel them in the right direction.
Absolutely. This is exactly what I was looking to hear from you, is where, if someone reaches out to you, there's so many people out there in our community that want to get involved, but they don't have the resources, or maybe point of contact or point of way. So something like that would be very, very nice of you to, apply your services there. And it's
I would
amazing.
be glad to help out. And also, my email is my last name, which is Ginyard, which is Gin Yard, GINYARD, at sbcglobal.net.
Okay.
That's Ginyard at sbcglobal.net. And I'm happy to reach. I prefer them call or text me. Texting is really much easier for me to get to. And I will return the call, the text, and we will get them funneled to where they kind of want to go.
That's great. And just so our listeners know, whatever resources we come across throughout the show, whether that be from you or Dr. Eberle, we will post all of these in the comments on our Facebook page so our listeners can go and reference them after the show is over.
Absolutely, yes. We will.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be helpful. And please post my email and my cell phone. I'm very public, so that is not a problem at all.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you for calling in today. I think that, it's important to hear women voices, especially that was going to be our topic today, or one of our topics is, women involvement and women empowerment. And you're a great example of that.
Yes, you are.
Oh, well, yes. And it is critical. And what women who may not be aware need to know that women have always been engaged and involved, but they were behind the scenes, okay?
Yes, they were.
And I'm talking over decades. They have always been involved, but often behind the scenes. And since the 2000s, more so, women have begun to take a front seat.
Absolutely.
But their engagement has always been there, and they've taken a front seat, and probably, I would dare say, maybe 4 to 5 years ago, national media could not deny that, the impact that women were having, and started talking about it.
Absolutely. Well, as a prominent woman, especially in the Fort Bend County area, thank you for calling us today and being such a resource for our listeners.
Oh, sure. Anything I can do to help.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cynthia.
And you all have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So, Bobby, I think that we were. Did you want to say something? I was just going to say. I think I was asking you about some voter registration.
We got one more
with
caller.
the elections coming up, and we have another caller, Bobby.
Great.
So, I mean,
You're popular.
Popular today.
Radio Dabang, you're on air.
Hey, that was incredibly beautiful.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. You want to say your name?
My name is Akbar. My dad asked me to run for Senate, and I'm just like dating, like right here. We got 15 days left, 30 days left, or whatever. But hearing females like this, oh my God!
Strong, huh?
Yeah. वो मतलब इतना अच्छा लगता है सुन के मतलब you feel positive, you feel like okay, you know what, I should have done it.
Great.
Yeah.
Good to hear from you, Akbar. What would be your question for our guest today?
What would be my question for your guest?
So we have a
today?
guest here, Chairman of Fort Bend County Republican Party, Bobby Eberle.
Okay.
Would you have any questions for him?
Yeah, I mean, what do you plan on doing? I mean, come on. Come on.
We're doing a lot.
We need some help.
Well, that's a great question, and I think
That's absolutely a great question.
I'll have him answer that right now. Thank you for calling.
Yes, thanks.
You're welcome. God bless. Okay,
Yeah, thanks
bye.
a lot for calling in. The things we're doing, it's just so much. You mentioned voter registration. So the last day to register to vote is the October 7th. And what we've really been focusing on is what we'd call targeted voter registration, going to areas that are likely to have Republican-leaning people or conservative-leaning people, because we want to increase our numbers. To me, there's no virtue in just registering people, especially in my job. We want to register people who are going to vote for us. So Tucker Carlson had a huge event a couple of weeks ago, so we were there. There's a gun show in Rosenberg where we're registering tons of people. One lady, a vendor at the gun show, she goes to gun shows every single week. She says she's never seen the Republican Party there. And this was an audience that was very receptive to us, and we're going to be doing another one, and going to oil and gas expos.
Sure.
There's one going on today that we have people out there.
I usually see voter registration booths at the fair too.
Exactly.
Fort Bend County Fair is going on.
And
right
we've got
now.
our booth there with a big register to vote sign in there. So I invite people to, if you're going to the Fort Bend County Fair, go inside. Nice and air conditioned. There's lots of vendors there, and that's where our booth is. But, we've got a lot of great things going on. We started our block walking program, and even in just the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've hit 10,000 houses.
So talk to us about what's involved. If block walking is something that's an easy thing to do, right? What's involved with that? How do they find out?
I would recommend people just go to our website, which is fbcgop.org. That's FBC for Fort Bend County, GOP.org. You can go, there's a volunteer form to fill out, there's a contact us form to fill out, and it lists all sorts of different ways, whether it's block walking, phone banking, working at the polls on election day as a poll watcher or just a greeter. There are so many aspects of putting an election together that we could use help. I mean, we have a headquarters down 59 in Sugar Land, and we're putting signs together. We're doing stuffing bags for the block walks. A lot of involvement. The other day, it really was great because it felt like a true campaign headquarters you see on TV or in the movies, because I was doing a press conference because there was breaking news in Fort Bend. We had multiple people at the reception desk, and then a whole room full of people stuffing bags. It was the energy and excitement. This cycle has been off the charts. It's been really good, and but we're always looking for more volunteers. Always looking for people to help, and we'll put them to work because we need it, and we appreciate everything that people do to help.
Excellent. I think that those are having easy entrances into the system is just could be the beginning for somebody.
Exactly,
right?
and that's the key, is that entry point. You want it to be warm and welcoming and friendly, because often it doesn't matter what the job is. There was someone that was coming into headquarters the other day, and I was spending some time there, so I started just putting some signs together, and they said, "How can I help?" I'm here now, and I want to help now. So I recruited him to help me put some signs together, and we're just talking away and doing signs. So, it's that first interaction to get people involved and make it friendly, and then there'll be a lot that we're doing over these. It's 5 weeks until Election Day. So there's a lot to do in this time.
All hands on deck.
Exactly,
right now, right?
that's for sure.
So we now again, speaking of resources, so we have one more resource of anyone that wants to come out here and do some volunteering. And do you guys give volunteer hours for students?
I mean, they would work out with their school, if there was a government class or other kind of civics class. But we're happy to help. I mean, happy to provide that opportunity for kids. I was at high school in Lamar Consolidated, just speaking with their teachers and administrators, and I'm going to go back and speak to government classes and just kind of educate them on the Constitution and the political process and the importance of getting involved. I think that's the key, because, sitting around with friends at a bar griping about issues doesn't do anything. You've got to be out there, and you've got to make your voice heard. And to the caller, if he's motivated to go out there and run for office, there's a time and a place to get filed and to learn how to do that. There's classes, and we could help train candidates.
Does the Republican Party offer those services here locally?
Yeah, we have all sorts of training classes. Once candidates express that desire, the Leadership Institute comes down. We have the state party that come down and teach you about fundraising. I actually teach media training on how to look good on camera, and also how to deal with reporters and answer those questions, give press conferences, because a lot of people, they might have the subject in their head and they know the issues, but when they first get in front of a camera or get in front of a reporter, it doesn't always come out.
Exactly.
And so we want to make sure that it comes out and that their message really gets delivered. So I help with that. But again, there's the fundraising side, there's the grassroots block walking, field work side. There's all sorts of aspects to put a campaign together, and we've got people there that are ready to help.
Well, that's nice. And good to know. Now we have one more source where if anyone wants to volunteer,
Yes.
they can come out, go to fortbendcounty.org.
Yes.
And
fbcgop.org and just sign up. We'll put you to work.
That's one more source, listeners.
You touched on it briefly, the young people. You were out at the high schools and you're going to go back and talk to them. Why do you think it's so important, especially, now here in Fort Bend County, to get these young people engaged?
Well, a part of it is to just train that next generation of leaders and the next generation of activists, because, we want them to see how the process works. Obviously, they're not out there paying taxes and health insurance and all of these things and feeling the realities of life just yet. But they see, if their parents are, struggling to pay rent rather than buy food, tough choices like that, but especially the way I grew up, you can feel that in a family. You don't have to know exactly what's going on to realize that there are tough times. And just to show them that, hey, here's, by electing these people, that could affect the way your prices are. That could affect the job that your parents have or that you will have, how much your tuition's going to cost, and the apartment that you live in. And so educating them on that, and then how the process works, and how once they turn 18, they're a full participant in that political process, and they can have a voice. And so I think that's important. And plus, it's just the energy that they bring to any kind of gathering. It's a lot of fun. We had a number of kids out there, not voting age, but at the Fort Bend County Parade this last time.
Yes.
We had a great float. It was my favorite float since I've been involved. And just kids sitting around and running around and walking with us. And that's an energy, you can't help but look at a kid and smile, right? And so the more the merrier is what I say.
Is there a Young Republicans group in the area?
Yes, the Fort Bend County has a Young Republicans group. Actually, that's how I got my start.
Okay.
When I told you during graduate school, when I got involved, I didn't know anything what I was doing, and so, but I kind of knew I was a conservative. I knew I was a Republican, so I was going to Rice, so I called up the Harris County party, and they said, okay, well, where do you live? And I said, well, I live by Rice here, and they said, well, that's Congressional District 18, and we have a good candidate. Why don't you go help them? And then here's the number for the Young Republicans. And so I went to my first Young Republican meeting, and I came out as the membership committee chairman.
Wow.
That's how it usually works.
They needed someone. I kind of raised my hand. But then I became president of Houston and chairman of the state Young Republicans for Texas, and then the number 3 national officer along the way. So
Very
it was
nice.
very good, because you really got to the thing I really loved about Young Republicans is that you got to learn about people and interacting with people. Young Republicans are a kind of a volunteer network. They're not passing legislation, but with all these different positions and groups and different state organizations, you really learn how to deal with people and get things done. So I appreciated that a lot. But there is a Fort Bend County group there, and there's groups in schools as well.
Is it geared towards more like young professionals, or even like
Young
high
Republicans
school?
are
Okay.
officially 18 to 40.
18 to 40.
And then
okay.
there's a little obvious overlap with college Republicans during those early years. But yeah, Young Republicans is mostly out of college and then up to 40. But then there's Turning Point USA is a conservative organization that is starting to have chapters in high schools. And so the movement is growing, and you're seeing that around the country. Gallup poll just came out last week with kind of a historic poll. I talked about this on my show the other day. At this point in a presidential campaign, for the first time in the history of the Gallup poll, more people identified as being or leaning to Republicans than Democrats. That's never happened. The closest one was a tie in 2004 when George W. Bush was running for re-election. But now the Republicans have a 3-point lead. So I think, at least for me, it's good motivation to try and get the word out as much as possible.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
We mentioned too and I want to know more about the Republican women in Fort Bend County, because Afshin and I are both, professional women, and
Right.
we would love to see
Well,
as many women as we can get involved
exactly.
in the process.
And it's Fort Bend County is a great place to be because we have 2 thriving clubs. We have the Fort Bend Republican Women, and then we have the Republican Women's Club of Katy.
Oh.
So different locations around the county to make it easier. Both clubs are doing great, and that representation not only manifests itself through the activities that the club does, but also through our candidates too. We have judicial candidates, we have a justice of the peace candidate, we have a state rep candidate, all women that are out there working hard. And again, the women's clubs provide that network too. If you're talking about volunteers, they're the best volunteers out there. They're the ones staffing headquarters and helping on block walks and manning phone banks and everything. It's so good, and it's great to see some of these leaders step up to the candidate role as well. So there's plenty of opportunity to get involved, but both clubs are doing great. I don't have their websites offhand, but they're listed on our website, and you can find them and get involved. Yeah, so it's really good. Fort Bend County Republican Women meet more on this side, Sugar Land area, and then we have the Katy side.
Yeah, I think it's really great for women to meet other women that are involved, because, let's face it, there are barriers that women have to get involved that men don't. And to see women that are able to get things done and be successful and run for office and win office can be inspiring and can
absolutely
can motivate
it motivates everybody, because the energy level is, they're just nonstop. It's like I get tired going to some of these events because they're planning, and we have this big fundraising dinner every year called our Lincoln Reagan dinner. And our whole team is women running the silent auction, helping with the fundraising, helping with the speakers, the organization, the check-in registration. And it involves a lot of work. And these 2 clubs are always willing to step up and lead.
And Afshin, I know Bobby is our guest, but I'm going to ask you a question.
Nice.
Because I know that you are very much involved with women activism and women empowerment with the organizations that you're a part of. So I would love for our listeners to hear a little bit about that.
So, as I said, I do have my own nonprofit, Women for Women, which we work with women elected officials. We bring them out, we bridge them with the community, so they can come out and kind of speak about what they do behind scenes, which not very many people do. They just know that, like one of the judges we had, Judge Tamika Carter came out. People don't know what they do. They just know they're a judge. Judge sits behind that counter and just makes a deal or no deal. So when they come out and they actually speak about what they do, how hardcore their cases are, and how much they are helping our women in case if they are in the sense of being on the stand. So it's very informative, and it's very important that people come out and kind of shake hands with all these elected officials and officials that are running and get to know one another. That's why I emphasize a lot. Just because they're sitting on a bench doesn't mean they're just sitting there looking pretty and just making the calls. You got to know what they go through. They go through a lot.
Right.
It's really hard for them to make the decisions that they do. But on the other hand, on the bright side, they are very helpful. They are very helpful in the sense of saying that if one of us or one of our women are out there, they'll try to do their best to give them the best outcome, and also give them the resources to be a better for the betterment. So that's what we do, and I just love going out there and kind of spreading this, this woman power. And I'm sure if all the listeners are listening, and if you guys want to get involved, hey, reach out and I'll connect you. You can come to a lot of our events, and connect.
Bobby,
Get
do y'all
engaged.
have any upcoming events where people can come out and engage directly with the candidates?
Any outreach events?
Yeah, we're nonstop. I mean, we have meet and greets all the time. There's a big rally with our Congressman Troy Nehls and Senator Cruz right here in Fort Bend this Friday. You can find information about that on the website. But then on a smaller scale, we're getting together because we want these candidates out in front, like you said, to engage with voters and just meet people, go into neighborhoods and talk to people. And we've got that going on all the time. So, please check the website, our calendar of events for a chance to meet, because we've got, the sheriffs on the ballot this time around, all of our constables, our tax assessor collector, and then, of course, Precinct 3, which is nearby here, with the commissioner and constable, and those are big races. I mean, it's received national focus with.
So one question I have for the Republican Party. I live in Fort Bend County. I'm a Democrat, but I like to help both sides. Just because I'm an activist, I love to be in the community and help people, bring them out.
Right.
They can decide whatever route they want to go. But as I'm in the Fort Bend County, I hear so many events are happening for Democratic parties, this elective, that elective. I don't hear enough of Republicans. And we do have a lot of Republicans out there.
Right.
We got very many in our community. But I would like to know, where can we find events where people, if they're Republican, they want to they want to head out to an event that is happening.
Right.
Where do you find those events?
Again, I would send them over to our website, our calendar of
website?
events, and again, we are out there at all the major events that, like I said, the gun show, Tucker Carlson event. We're going to be having a big presence at the Commissioner's Court next week during that meeting. But there's a lot of opportunities to meet Republicans and the individual candidates too. I would recommend people, since it is an election season, to check out the individual candidates' websites, because they've got events going on, all of that aren't necessarily associated with the party. I mean, as the party, I'm trying to organize our overall election campaign, but the candidates are still independent, and they've got meet and greets and candidate forums all the time. And that would be a really good thing to check out, is check the candidates' websites, check ours for candidate forums, because that is a great place to see both sides. You're going to get the Republicans and the Democrats there talking about the issues, letting people know about what their office does, what each race does, and gives them a chance to get to know them and make a good decision.
And I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the sample ballots were just recently released for Fort Bend County. And
That's
so
right.
if somebody wants to know who their candidates are, that they need to go out and research, would you recommend that as a good starting place?
And we have all of that information. What we've done, we've made it really easy on our website. If you go in and you enter your precinct, or even if you don't know what your voting precinct is, just enter your address. It'll tell you your precinct, and then we send you a voter guide. And it's got all the list of candidates, and it's got their websites, so you can find out more about them in a way that you can print out or share with friends and family, either by email or by an image. And it's specifically tailored for your precinct, so you don't have extra people that might be confusing because you go in and vote and they're not on your ballot because they don't live in your district. So we made it very simple for people to get to know the candidates and who's going to be on their ballot. But now the official sample ones are out, so we're making some graphics on those to get those out at the precinct level as well, so they can see exactly what it looks like and make choices from there.
And the sample ballots are on the Fort Bend County Elections website?
Yes.
Is that where you can find that?
You can find that, and then we're also making a version of ours, kind of highlighting our choices on our website too. But Fort Bend County has those sample ballots, and you can get them by voting precinct.
Very nice.
Yes.
So one more question I have is, I know we've talked about all the good stuff that you're doing for the party. What are the challenges have you faced so far, or is there any?
Oh, there's always
to overcome.
challenges. Yeah, there's
I know.
always challenges, and I mean part of it too is just
What's one of
trying
your biggest
to.
ones that you've faced so far?
Well, I mean, a lot of it is this is what's going on with the indictments that are going on in Fort Bend right now. I mean, I'd love to be able to talk about that because that one really hit close to home for me, as someone who's grew up. I'm half Hispanic,
Yeah.
and so you've faced with different people along the way racist comments and things like that, which are very frustrating. And so I have a very short fuse when it comes to that. And so when you see officials use the race card as a way to try to divide people, and this whole case that's going on right now in Fort Bend is a case of fake racism, fake racist posts on social media blaming the Republicans when they made it up themselves.
Yeah.
And so I have no patience for that, and I'm glad these indictments are going down because they're trying to, rather than talk about issues, just claim racism from one side, and it was all made up.
And that is an important topic going on in Fort Bend County right now. And I know that probably our listeners are aware of the background and it's been all over the news.
Right.
But this is the Dabang Power Hour.
Right.
So talk to me a little bit about in this area, in the Houston, Fort Bend County, the South Asian community, and the efforts that the Republican Party has made to make inroads and reach out.
Oh yeah,
and connect with
that's been very important, and I think it showed our results showed through in the last election cycle when we were able to go from 0 in 18 and 0 in 20 to 6 to 7 this last time. So we're having meetings with Muslim community leaders, Indian leaders, going to events. Diwali festivals are going to be, a big thing, and this time of year.
Yeah.
And so, those are always exciting. But it's really doing outreach in a different kind of way, and rather than just kind of showing up at an event and then disappearing. What I've really tried to do over these last 2 years is meet with those influencers, those groups, and just get to know people. So it's outside of the election cycle. It's just getting together for 15 or 20 people, having some fun, and just saying, "Hey, I'm Bobby. This is what I believe, and let's get together and let's talk issues, get to know each other." And it's very effective because then it just grows and grows and grows. And I like that style. I've made a lot of friends. I've never eaten so much different food in my life than over the last couple of years, but it's so good. And
that's one of the beauties about living in Fort Bend
I
County.
know, right? It is.
Love the diversity.
Right. It is fantastic. And again, Fort Bend is the most diverse county in the entire state. Some listed as the most diverse in the entire country. It's 29% white, 26% Hispanic, 22% Asian, and 22% black. I mean, it is just about as evenly spread out as you can do. And so that is, it makes it challenging as far as getting our message out, as far as what resonates with different communities and things like that.
And not only ethnically diverse, we've got urban with the Houston area, the rural with the Newville area, suburban, Sugarland, Katy. I mean, it's just diverse all across the board.
Full growing like crazy, like you said, Needville, and then over here, Missouri City, Stafford, and Sugarland. It's so different, and different issues resonate with different people. So staying true to your philosophy, it's a challenge to get that out in different communities in a way that resonates. So it's a big job right there. But what a great county to be in. I mean, I'm on different text groups and different organizations with other county chairs across the state, and some of them, their whole battle is during the primary, and they're basically done. I mean, they're going to get to November, and the Republicans are going to win, and they don't have anything to worry about, and I'm stressed out. It's just there's a lot to work on, and but that's kind of the thrill of Fort Bend County.
So since you're involved in so many of the communities like Indian, Asian, however, Pakistanis, advice on what we can do to pull these communities out to vote,
Yeah,
exercise their votes. A lot of them, it's very, very hard to pull them out.
Exactly. And so what we need to do is just, again, talk those issues that resonate with the community. You know, I mean, in some it's taxes, right? In others, it's just boys on girls sports teams.
Or safety.
You know, or public safety, right? And those resonate a lot. The border issues seem to transcend all groups because that affects the economy, it affects safety. There's a lot of things that educational resources. There's a lot involved in that one. So again, it's meeting with these groups and emphasizing that, hey, nothing changes unless you get involved, you know, and nothing changes unless you get out there and vote. So please learn about the candidates, make an informed decision, and go vote.
Yeah, great idea. Good output.
One way that some of our previous guests have talked about people getting involved is internships, especially for young people. Do you know of any specific, you know, with the Republican Party for young people to get involved?
Absolutely.
With
well, I know the Cruz campaign has interns. I think some of our other major campaigns, like Commissioner Precinct 3 Andy Myers, has interns. You know, if people want to volunteer at headquarters, we'd be happy to take them. But that's a good way. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of people that I know that end up being communications directors or chiefs of staff of, you know, state senators or other places that started as an intern. And then they've just gotten hooked the whole time. Politics has a way of doing that. It gets you in and you can't get out. But I would recommend contacting the campaigns directly if there's a certain one that resonates, a certain person that someone gravitates to give them a call, and they're likely to find a spot.
I bet that the insight and connections that you would make as an intern, as, you know, 18, 19-year-old, working probably side by side with a candidate running for office would be, I mean, you can't replace that. There's nothing
you can't
in a
beat that at all.
classroom or anything that can teach you
And
that.
then it transfers over to college, because a lot of the college political science majors, you know, they might go work as an intern during legislative session or help on a campaign during campaign season. And so there's a lot of opportunities. But, you know, if it's something you feel passionate about, then regardless of your age, just get out there and start.
Well, we have a couple of more minutes left for Dabang Power Hour. If anybody wants to call in, we've got time for maybe one or two more questions for Bobby. Our number 713-974-4000. And we do have we were talking about women, Bobby, and so I'm going to go back to that.
How do you pull them out?
Yeah, how do we get women? How do we pull them out? How do we get them
to run for office?
To run for office, to really take a leap. I mean, really, I'm just going to say to take that leap and get them out there.
You seem like a very strong woman supporter.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Yeah, I can tell by every time we speak a woman, you have a very, very grace in your voice.
Well, I guess it's just because maybe the way I grew up. I mean, my dad died when I was 15, and so I had two younger sisters and my mom, and so she kind of became the rock, and so I've been around, you know, a strong women. And so it's just a matter of, you know, if this feels like the right thing for you to do, and I support, you know, men, women getting out there and doing it, because the whole political life, the life of not just an office holder, because before you can live that life, you have to do the dreaded life of a candidate, and that is tough. It is really tough. It is all consuming, especially these last. I mean, people are getting their name out because you have to run in the primary back in March, and so you're already campaigning for that. So you're probably doing a whole year. You know, someone who probably wanted to run was legitimately getting out there this time last year in the primary process to get ready for March. And now, you know, come August, but especially September, it is nonstop. It is block walking. It is trying to raise money. It's going to events, these meet and greets to everybody. And so for the women out there, just if you feel passionate about it, please lend that voice, because, I mean, men and women bring different perspectives.
Yeah.
And men are all, nuts and bolts and, I'm going to solve this problem and everything like that. And sometimes it's often you need that other side. And it's very complimentary, obviously. And I encourage more people to get out there. Like I said, I'm very happy with the balance that we have on our ticket with our Court of Appeals and in our Fort Bend races in particular. But yeah, if you're interested, let me know.
Yeah.
So, ladies, bring that balance out to the ticket. Let's see you on election day. Bobby, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all of your knowledge and resources and your experiences with our listeners. Like I said, we're a new show, so we're trying to get
I had fun. Yes.
lots of information out to our listeners with Dabang Power Hour. And listeners, thank you for joining us today. We hope to that we can be back in your car or on your computer next Tuesday at 1:00.
See you all. This is Afshin Pamani, your co-host for Dabang Power Hour. See you next week.